Hello, humanity, star seeds, light workers, way showers, healers. Today, we're going to talk about entitlement. Entitlement, it can be self entitlement, it can be about what we are entitled to as common citizen in each of our own countries or nations. We can talk about entitlement about being a light worker or a star seed or about religion or about reality, the list goes on. So we're going to talk about common entitlement. For example, you are a citizen of a certain country, certain nations, right? You feel that you have a self entitlement or a citizenship entitlement to your own country, in your own country. It can be that you feel that you're entitled to be proud. You're entitled to deserve whatever it is that your country or your or the governing system thinks that you are entitled to. But then we we do not read the fine print. The fine prints are very, very important. But most of us do not read the fine prints. All right. You may be entitled to something, but if you do not have certain clauses or certain situation to contribute or to give back to the governing system, you are not entitled. All right. It's the same with spirituality. We think that we are entitled to okay, as long as okay, let's talk about religion or something of a belief system. We feel or believe that as long as we are good, as long as we are this, and as long as we are that, or as long as we go to prayers every Friday or every Sunday or every whatever season, land season, whatever the religious organization says that you must attend, that then you are entitled to be a child of God. You don't need these organizations to tell you that you are a child of God. Whether you go to church or not, whether you go to a mosque or a temple or some kind of um belief system, all right? As long as there is a middleman telling you that you're a child of God, you don't need to you don't need to believe that. You are a child of God, regardless of what race, creed, religion, color. All right. So this is a given in the sense that you do not have to do certain things to be entitled to be a child of God. Okay, this is a universal entitlement. Universal entitlement is you do you do what you need to do for yourself. You love yourself, of course, not to the point of being narcissistic, but you only have to be a good person. All right, good in the sense that whatever good that you want to happen to you, you do the same good to other people. This is a universal law. Okay, or other religious or organization will say, do to others as what you want to do to yourself. It's the same concept. It is just that how you want to understand uh, the balance. Okay, the balance. You need to understand that everything that you think, say, or do, or whatever belief it is, there must be a balance. All right. Service. Let's talk about service to others. This is a universal law. Okay. When you service others without expecting anything in return, that is a given. That is a given. When you provide services, when you service humanity, when you service other people, your own neighbors, or your friends who are in need of help, all right, or even to your own folks, to your own siblings, to your own parents, to your own relatives at home, all right, you don't expect anything in return, because once you expect anything in return, then that is in a not service to others, it's a service to self. So these are the so-called entitlement. False entitlement, okay? False entitlement. False entitlement, that means in most of the common families, they say, okay, your parents will say, okay, if you do this and this and this and this, then I will give you this and this and this and this. All right? But parents have to understand, you tell your children to study and get good grades is for themselves, not for you. This is not entitlement. Your children it didn't come into this world, you know, to do good for you. Of course, sure, if as you age, all right, when you need somebody to watch over you or help you with chores or whatever it is that is heavy laden with all your work, of course your children need to help, right? But if you're telling your children, you have to get this and this and this, this is my requirement, or this is my command, all right, then you will get this and this and this and this, all right, the list will go on and on and on. I always tell, I used to tell my two girls, all right, whatever grades you get in school or anywhere, anything that you do that is of good value, is for yourself. Not for me, not for your teacher, not for your parents, not for friends, not for relatives or for your grandparents. No, it's for yourself. Now that is a real entitlement because you're doing it for yourself. It is self-authentication. You do it for yourself because if you love yourself enough, when you do all these things for yourself, it is self-worth. Okay, self-worth, and this is also entitlement to yourself, not to anybody else, not to your boss. As long as you're doing your best in your job, all right, and if your boss is still telling you you are still below par, you can't perform, then quit the job. All right, quit the job, because maybe the job is not meant for you. You're only taking on the job is because you need the money. You need the money to pay bills, to pay for your home, or pay for rental, or pay for your child's, education, or for whatever it is. All right. Take time to find what is it that you are interested in your best interest. What are you best for? You know, not what other people tell you what you're best for. You have to ask yourself in your own heart here, in your sacred heart space. What is it that I'm good at? And the moment you find out what you're good at, you slowly build the momentum in being better and better at what you love doing. Now that is entitlement. You are entitled to be the best for yourself. Not what your boss tell you or what your family tell you. No, no, no. You have to get this job because it is very stable. You have your pension, you have your whatever that is being given to you, you know, or civil servant or whatever you want to call it. or government job, right? Yeah, of course. If you finish up your until your retirement, when you end your uh, job until you retire, who knows, 65, 75, right? And then you have a certain kind of pension, certain kind of whatever. Nowadays, there are no such thing as pension, not as far as I can see, not as far as I can observe. Can you imagine that you're going to work your whole life in a job that you don't like because it's giving you a stable pay? Do you know how much you're missing in your life in doing something that you don't like? That is not an authentic entitlement. That is not an authentic entitlement. Okay, let's take for example. Very simple. I think that is the same as throughout other nations or countries, right? You have a zebra crossing, all right? You have a zebra crossing. And then these pedestrians will just keep on going and going and going. No traffic light to stop them. They will just keep on crossing. And they don't care how many people have been crossing this zebra crossing for maybe a few minutes already, and people are still crossing. They don't care because they feel that they're entitled because it's a zebra crossing, right? It's the same with the super from the entrance or the exit of a grocery store to the car park. Between that, there is a transportation lane for cars to enter and leave, right? And that section of between the grocery store and the parking lot is a zebra crossing. You call that the zebra crossing. You all the drivers always have to give way to pedestrians first. All right. Sometimes we notice that as drivers, okay, as drivers waiting for the pedestrians to cross the zebra crossing, some of them are taking their own time talking on the cell phone, crossing the zebra crossing. All right. And some of them are like they are walking normally, but they're crossing the zebra crossing like as if they're strolling in a garden. Now, this is not about judgment, but this is talking about observation. Observation where as a third party we are looking, maybe we are just waiting to see, how long the cars have been waiting and how long the trails of pedestrians are coming out from in and out from the grocery store, right? Sometimes I find that these people are crossing and crossing and crossing non-stop, right? But we as pedestrians also we have to wait sometimes. If the drivers have been waiting for like 3, 4, 5 minutes waiting for the pedestrians to crossing non-stop, especially on crowded days, all right, or on weekends, or whatever time, festive season time, these pedestrians are crossing non-stop, and we are like looking at all these people crossing. This is entitlement, right? Zebra crossing, we just cross whenever we need to cross, right? But then the drivers are like waiting 3, 4, 5, 6 minutes sometimes. They are crossing non-stop. You know, we as pedestrians also, although we have the right to cross anytime we want at the zebra crossing, it doesn't mean that we keep on crossing without stopping to look if the drivers are actually waiting for that long for that many people to cross, right? You must have a self-awareness, because it doesn't mean that although you're entitled to cross a zebra crossing anytime, it doesn't mean that all of the people are entitled to cross every time without giving some of the cars to pass by, they are tired too. Okay, so this is called entitlement. Oh, I'm entitled to this, so I'm just going to carry on and do it, right? Without looking around, without self-awareness to see as to what is going on. All right, sometimes I'm like waiting for because I'm seeing that the cars have been waiting. Excuse me, waiting, and then behind the first car, second, third, fourth, fifth car waiting. So I wait for the car to move, but come behind me another one, just walk right across. Just walk right across. I was waiting for the first car to move to give them chance to relieve the traffic from getting stuck from behind. But there are other people coming out from the parking lot. They just rush through. Excuse me. All right. So there are so many kind of entitlements. Humanity, please be self-aware of your entitlement. Please be aware of our entitlement. How far do we go? That we are entitled, and then we don't know when to stop. Every time I go to a grocery store, I'm always observing, looking. It's very strange. Some people just and then they just feel so confident that the car is going to stop for them immediately when they just decide to come out from the grocery store and just you know go on head on. They're looking at the cell phone. They're not looking to see if there are any cars coming. They don't care. All right. And I was looking at this person with the cell phone. I said, looking at the cell phone, and that's all. Glued. The eyes are glued to the cell phone, but not looking if there are any oncoming cars. Right, you feel entitled, all right? You feel entitled to cross a zebra crossing. But you cannot behave like this because, you're putting yourself in danger. You can't do this. All right? You have to look after yourself first. So you're putting your self entitlement in being a pedestrian, having the right to cross a zebra crossing, but your self entitlement in looking after yourself is even more important. Extremely important. You cannot get yourself glued to your talking to someone with a earphone, talking without looking around to see whether the cars are coming or not. If one day you get one crazy driver, then you're done. And in the end, what happened? You're gonna be dead and gone anyway. Does it matter? Does it matter if you're talking on the phone when you're at a safer place? I've been observing for these past few weeks about self-entitlement. This thing has been on my mind for so many months. And I tell myself, say, I need to talk about this. I really need to, to, to tell humanity, all right? Entitlement doesn't mean that it's safe, even from the governing, any governing system. Don't take things for granted. Don't take your entitlement for granted. Stop, look, think, reflect, observe, be extra vigilant, then go ahead and do what you need to do in any situation. Crossing zebra crossing or doing any important documents, you need to stop, do some research online or whatever, then move to the next step, look at all possibilities, and then after that, think of the various levels of plans or procedure that you need to follow through before you actually do the actual thing. If the governing system tells you that you're entitled to this, you're entitled to that, then you go ahead and do it anyway. But then there are a lot of fine prints and clauses that you don't know about, right? This is so important. So please, self-entitlement is an extreme end of the ego. Oh, my children are, they're in school and they are studying and they have to study hard because they need to be a professional, they need to be a doctor, they need to be a lawyer, they need to be a teacher, they need to be this and they need to be that. Why? Because you say so. You're the parents, you're the father, you're the mother, you're the grandparents, you're the siblings, you're the older brother, older sister. All right, because you say so, so they must what do you call it, do very well to achieve this. Your idea is your self-entitlement, but you cannot put your self-entitlement into your children, into your siblings, into your family, into your friends, or into your spouse. You cannot. There's no such thing as self-entitlement. Okay, this is an extreme egotistic situation. You cannot place your ideal onto somebody else. Your ideal is only for yourself. If you can't achieve your own ideal, then take it one baby step at a time. If I can't do this, can I do something else at a lower level that is more achievable? You can't be a lawyer. You can't achieve that, but you like the idea so much. It is such an egotistic image. Such an egotistic profile, right? Oh, I didn't manage to be a lawyer, so I'm hoping, or I want my children or whoever, my niece or nephew, to be a lawyer. This is so ridiculous. This is yourself and your self ideal. You think that you can project this onto somebody else. No, you do not do that. Whatever that you can do for yourself at the current time is your authentic entitlement. That means you're already doing the best that you can. You are at the most authentic current situation that you can be at. Given whatever external circumstances that might have, okay, this thing, when I wanted to do this, but something else was blocking me. Fine. Then do a detour, do something else until you find that you do something that you like. But don't project anything on anyone else. If you put a project, if you put an idealistic situation for yourself, but you can't achieve it, it is all right. It is all right. Sometimes people have some ridiculous idealistic situation, idealistic forecast, that is so difficult to achieve at that point of time, at that during that year, that it wasn't possible for you to achieve, or your family situation didn't allow you to achieve that level. It is all right. There's no right or wrong. All right. It's just that you place a path there. Sometimes who knows? You may not study at the point where you want to be a lawyer, and then after a while you work in a legal system, and then you get more experience, and then you continue with a sub education, all right, higher level education, and then you do another level, and then you do another level. Do it at the one step at the time where you can manage. All right, your brain can only take that much, because you have to consider everything. Your family, your own personal interest, You cannot be that. You wake up, as I've spoken before in the previous video, right? You cannot say you wake up, you have your breakfast, and then you go to study, and then you come, and then you still have ECA, extracurriculum, all right, and then you still have tuition, and then you still have to eat, and then you still have to, you can have only so many hours per day, right? You have to be realistic, but you have to understand that within that one day, you have to spend at least half an hour for yourself to be happy. All right, get rid of all those homework, and be at peace within yourself for at least half an hour. Half an hour, that's all you need. Listen to some nice music, take a break. Put in some balance into your life. Forget about entitlements. Forget about ideals. Forget about all those other things that people expect from you. Forget about it. Do what you can per day. Fill in whatever you can per day. All right, finish your assignment or finish your homework. All right. Some children even, parents even put in some curriculum like music. You must study with a piano teacher or an instrument teacher, and then you try so hard, or violin, you know, and then you ask your child to learn, and then your child find that it's too much hard work, and then your child is suffering. Don't force your child to do things when they don't even have half an hour to play, half an hour to have fun, half an hour to be happy. At least allow half an hour for your children to be happy. Otherwise, your child will keep suppressing, suffer. Do you know that the sufferings that they accumulate since they are grown up to they are adult, they become very, very resentful adults. Very, very resentful. You cannot do this to your family, to your spouse, to your siblings, or to your, whoever. Always try to, always try to, you know, to allow them to have balance. Every day you must have some kind of balance in your life, you know. Or if your child is doing some homework and some kind of music is, ask them what kind of music they like. All right. So let them listen to some music that they like. Give them some inspiration, some kind of relaxing atmosphere for them, so that they feel that they're motivated to study, motivated to do something, or motivated to do their art. All right. Find something creative for them, something pleasant for them to have a nicer life. Nowadays it's extremely hard to be a child in any family. Very hard. They have to prove themselves. I have to pass this, I have to pass this, I have to pass that. And the education on planet Earth is totally ridiculous. Extremely ridiculous. I give you one very hardcore example, my own experience with one of my daughter. I taught her to read and write when she was first 3 years old. But of course, she will have her playtime. All right, she will have her own way of playing. You know, but I still find time to teach her how to read and write. Not many hours per day. All right, but I'll just show her how to break up the word and how to pronounce it. And back in those days, we don't have flip cards. I have to make my own. I have to make my own with a round ring, and paste the ABC and the pronunciation, or all the words, and I have to flip the cards. These are all I had to do all this on my own to teach my children how to how to read and write. So one of them, at the age of 4, with an IQ of 159, okay, IQ of 159, she could read the newspaper at age 4. You know, I realized that I was thinking that if I can teach her how to read and write, by the time she go to kindergarten, she will be ahead of other students, and then at the same time she can find time to play. All right, because some children they bloom late. All right, and there's no judgment about it. There's no right or wrong. It is all right. If they bloom late, don't keep forcing them. Don't keep telling them, why is it that you don't know? Why is it you can't do this? Why is it you can't? No, don't do that. It is not your entitlement to criticize your children. Some children, they bloom late. This is all right. You have to go according to their DNA, the DNA that is currently running at that point of time. You can't force them. You cannot ridicule them. You cannot, thumb them down and keep asking them why. Why is it that you don't understand? Don't do that. You think that you're entitled to have a child who can catch everything during each level, from kindergarten to primary school to secondary school, or from kindergarten to you know elementary school to to middle school to high school, or whatever you want to call it. All right, you have to allow them to flourish on their own. It is not your entitlement that your children must be this, must be that. This is not your entitlement. You are not entitled to this. When we bring our children into this world, do you know that the children are not ours? They don't belong to us. When we bring our children into this world, it is their world. It is their own foundation that they have to build. Okay, go back to one of my daughter. In kindergarten, she just glide through and having fun playing, and she still excel and stuff like that. Okay, I was really worried because that, her mind, she might be very, very, what do you call it? She might be very, she might feel very like stressed, that she have to perform and this and that. All right, and then it comes to primary school. You call it the elementary school in USA. In primary 3, she already had to go through a test, the governing system, the educational system test. In primary 3, she already had to go through a certain test to uh, to determine what's her IQ. All right, they ask her to take uh, mathematics mathematics examination. All right, I I really don't know what they do. They just put her there and just get her through it. Primary 3, she was already sent to the highest education for primary 4, 5, 6. That is okay, that's 6 years. And then when it comes to secondary school, all right, 6 years for primary school. In the 7th year, she already in secondary 1. She was already placed in one of the highest school. You think that I didn't worry? I worry. Every day I'm worried. What kind of stress is she going through? What kind of education system the you know are they putting her through? All right. As a mother, I have so much heartaches. So much worries. But then I still have to go through my day every day. Worry is not going to, allow me to do anything because that's her life, right? That's her life. Do you think I'm happy that she's there being stressed out? No, I'm not happy. Here I am, trying to work and find money to feed them, and the other side of me is, how are they doing? Are they stressed out? Worried every day. Every time when it comes to a midterm test, half year test, or end of the year test, or exam, I'm always worried. Are they stressed or not? You know, if they want to go and play, go and play. I don't restrict them as long as they come back at the time when I know that they are safe. Even if they don't come back on time to sleep, or come back at 1, 2 a.m., what can I do? It is their life. It is their life, Go out with friends, or play games or whatever until 1, 2 a.m., but they still can pass their exams, right? I don't control them. It is their life. So parents, please, parents, care, caregivers, grandparents, please don't stress your children out. Don't. It's very pitiful, very heartbreaking. It is not your entitlement to push your ideals on them. No, you are not entitled to that. Not at all. You have no right to tell your children what to do. Instead, you have to ask them, what is it that you would like to do? Explain to them certain situation. If you want to be a teacher, then you have to study hard, and then you have to go to, you know, higher education to be a teacher, that kind of. Or if you want to be a lawyer, it is going to be this. You have to do the research for them, so that they have many options as to what is it. But then also, as a parent, you can understand what are what what your child's interest is like. Do they like do they like being creative? Do they like books? Okay, not just books. What kind of books do they like? Do they like things that they can calculate? Or sometimes I give my children a lot of what do you call it, homework to do. A lot, in the sense that I give them 1 or 2 page to do every time, to see where they go. If they have a lot of homework, then I will hold back, that kind of thing. You have to learn to, if you have to retreat, you have to retreat. If your children are tired, tell them to stop for a while, maybe miss 1 or 2 classes for whatever, for their extracurricular, like the piano lesson, ballet lesson, whatever, not nonsense extra that you want them to excel in, or skip 1 or 2 classes. It's okay, just don't stress them out. It's so heartbreaking. All right. So what I do is that I will hold back. I will hold back the homework. If they have a lot of homework, when they're in secondary school, I stop. As long as when they're in kindergarten and they are in primary school, I will try my best to give them. But if I'm working, I don't have time, then I stop. All right. But you have to keep track of with them as to how are they doing, how do they feel. Ask them how they feel. Don't just say, okay, do your homework, and then that's okay, you're finished, okay, done. No, you have to ask them how are they feeling. You must be very tired. Okay, stop for a while. Have some fruits, have some ice cream, give them a small reward, no matter how small. Children are very easy to please sometimes, as long as you know what they like. Give them 5, 10, 15 minutes of distressing whatever they want to do. All right. If they're sleepy and tired, let them take a nap for 15, 20 minutes, half an hour. Wake up, they feel refreshed, all right? I mean, give them a break because your entitlement cannot be projected onto them. That is very cruel. Very, very cruel, all right? So please, humanity, please, please, okay? Entitlement is an egotistic situation. Don't project anything onto your children, please. Onto your siblings, onto your spouse, whatever projection. They are not you. They have to travel their own journey, their own soul path, you know. Don't add any more stress to them. If there's something that you cannot if there's something that you cannot solve, you know, have a heart to heart chat with your spouse, with your children, with whoever you feel that you can have a chat or you know have a heart to heart talk with, or somebody that you are having problem with, you know, calm down and ask them whether they would like to air out how they feel, or you know how you just want to tell them how you feel without being aggressive, without being oppressive, without you know just tell them, say, okay, I'm going to when I say this to you, I'm going to feel very angry because but because I'm very angry and this is how I'm feeling, all right, but I have to say this to you because this is how I'm feeling and I'm wondering how to solve this problem. But if you feel that you're angry because something triggered behind you a few hours ago, a few days ago, a few weeks ago, a few months ago, that something you have collected over behind somewhere that you have suppressed, and suddenly somebody is saying something that triggered this, that triggered this something that you have suppressed for so long, then it's not fair to the person who happened to trigger you, because you have kept it for so long and you didn't acknowledge it, you know, you didn't bring it up to air it out, you know, to free yourself, to love yourself, to free yourself, love yourself enough to free yourself. Now this is authentic entitlement, is to learn to love yourself and free yourself. This is authentic entitlement. All right. There are so many situations that I can talk about, but it's going to be endless. It's going to be endless. It's already almost 43 minutes. All right. But these are the very basic things that I observe every day, every week for so many years of my life. All right. So please be good to yourself. Be sweet and kind to yourself. Anything you feel that you're frustrated about, bring the feelings out. Bring the emotions out. Whatever you're thinking, bring it out. If you have no one to talk to, write it down. Doodle. You know, have a book. You know, you have a book that you can write out. And at the front cover of the book, you can put self-healing, self-mastery. You can, you know, you can write it down. So this is your main focus intent. This is your manifestation. This is your focus intent. Right in front of the book, self-healing, self-mastery. Then whatever frustrations that you have, write it down. Write until you feel that you have nothing else more to say. Stop. All right, stop. And then you can date it, you can time it, you can write the time down, you can write the date down. All right. And then the next time that you feel tired, you feel frustrated, you feel like as if you're not being validated, write it down again. All right. Keep writing down. Because when you write it down, that means you're acknowledging it. All right. You acknowledge yourself. Now this is authentic entitlement. You are entitled to bring your feelings out. All right. And this is spiritual too. The moment you write down all your frustrations, right or wrong, it doesn't matter. There's no right or wrong. It is what it is. You feel it. You feel it. You write it down. You feel it. You doodle. Just doodle. Doodling can be art, can be colors, can be pen drawing, whatever frustrations. You just draw it out. Whatever color you want to use. Colors also represent your emotions. All right. You can do two things. Sometimes you can doodle, sometimes you can just color, sometimes you can just write it down. If you're angry, write down anger. Anger. Why? One word. You only need one or two words. Angry equals or because this. Okay, then you stop there. Then another one is what? Frustrated. Frustrated. Why? Because my job, I had obstacles when I was doing my job. Write it down. Okay, for today, just write the date and the time. The next day, do the same thing. Keep on writing. Keep on writing. After a few weeks or after a few months, when you have the time where you feel that you are more relaxed, go back and read it. Honestly, I tell you, go back and read it. All right? You'll be surprised. There's some of the stuff that you have written, you got over it. You managed to solve it. Why? Because you acknowledge your feelings, you acknowledge your mind, you acknowledge your heart, you acknowledge your emotions, you acknowledge the situation, you write it down. And when you're written it down, you 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 may feel that you feel lighter because you have already aired it out if you have no one to talk to. Not everyone like talking to somebody about their situation. All right. I am one of them. I'm one of them. All right. Sometimes I debrief myself like the past 1 week, what happened and what happened. Sometimes I remember, sometimes I cannot remember, but it's all right. But every day I tell myself, I love myself enough authentically. I love myself enough to acknowledge what actually happened. There's no right or wrong, good or bad, but I acknowledge it anyway. That is the most important thing. Is to acknowledge how you feel, acknowledge how you what your thoughts are, how you feel, what your reactions were instead of reflection. If you have watched my other videos, how you reacted will hurt your soul. How you reflect within yourself is healing. You think about it first before you react, before you do it, before you do the action. All right. So even if you didn't manage to reflect, but you just react anyway because you couldn't control the anger, or you couldn't control the frustration. All right. But acknowledge it anyway. There's no right or wrong. Just know that the next time, you learn to be a better person for yourself, not for whoever you're frustrated with or whoever you're angry with, but for yourself. All right. Your soul need to advance. You need to be more conscious of yourself, of your everyday thoughts, of your everyday feelings. This is self mastery. It is not easy, but you need to start somewhere. All right. As long as you don't project to other people, but if you happen to, it's all right. Write it down. Always write it down. When you write it down, you feel so much better after that. I promise you. This is what some of the people who are learning to be more conscious of wanting to be a better person than yesterday. This is what they do. They will write it down, write it down, write it down. Or use color. If you feel angry, you color red, you color orange, or whatever color, right? just color and allow your feelings to flow out, expressed outward. This is creativity also. That's why I keep telling people, the moment that you are creative, creativity is very, very healing. It keeps you in balance. All right. So remember this. Creativity then doesn't mean that you have to be an artist, you have to be this, you have to be so good at this. No need. Just doodle, just write, if there's somebody that you don't like, all right, you just say that, uh, uh, you write their name or whatever, and then you put the heart shape there. But whether you mean it or not, it doesn't matter, right? Because at the moment maybe you're not ready, but maybe sometime later when you cool yourself down and you self-reflect, you say that, yeah, maybe I was partly wrong because I did this, and then I react to that, right? So just write a nice heart down. You write the name, write the heart down. So maybe one day, both of you might come to terms, and sometimes, tell each other or tell yourself that we agree to disagree. They have their own reality. We have our own reality. All right. And the other person or the other organization or what may not agree with who I am or agree with what I think or the way I do things is all right. Because you're both on different frequency. If you have watched my other videos, frequency is very important. You don't match. Normally with organizations or offices or companies that you work with, all right, they are always somewhere, because there are so many people working there, so their frequency is always fluctuating, up down, but you are always there somewhere. Sometimes it may come down because you don't feel well. Sometimes, that you feel that you're not good enough. Sometimes it may go up because you feel you have confidence. So your our frequency also fluctuates. This organization that you're working for, the bosses, there are so many different bosses, or there's just one boss and the employee or the management above you. So they are like, they're also fluctuating because there are so many people involved. All right. So you have to learn to manage that, because there are so many people working with you, right? You cannot handle so many people's frequency. It's all right. You just need to keep the calm and balance. Be more reflective. Be more what do you call it? Be more non-judgmental. Learn not to judge. Even yourself, learn not to judge. But just acknowledge the feelings that comes out, that you're feeling. All right, just bring it out. If you have a certain boss that you don't like, you just write the boss name, all right, and then you just draw a heart there, and then you put balance. You put your colleague's name, you put the heart there, and then you write the word balance. Keep doing it, when you write something, it's official. It's something that you're saying, you acknowledge. You understand? When you write something down, that means you're saying, you're telling the universe, all right, I acknowledge this. Then when you write the heart down, that means you're aiming for balance. You're aiming for unconditional love. You are aiming for being not or for being to be non-judgmental. And then in the end you put that balance. Balance, that means you want to balance out the frequency and not to be in butting head, and not to have contradictory situations. Write it down. Write everything down. So entitlement is very important. Authentic entitlement, yes, for yourself. You need to bring your feelings out. You need to write your feelings out. That is your authentic entitlement. You are entitled to express yourself. Although not physically by shouting at your boss or shouting at your colleague, all right? No. Write it down. Okay? Please. We are heading towards the transition of humanity. The timeline split is extremely near. I can feel it within my heart. Keep the balance. Keep the balance. All right? Keep the balance. Love yourself so much. Be sweet and kind to yourself. Be non-judgmental to yourself. Because when you're non-judgmental to yourself, you will move on to another level by being non-judgmental to other people, to your family, to your children, to your siblings, to your spouse. When the moment you stop being judgmental, all else will follow, all else will fall into place. All right. So please be sweet and kind to yourself. Love yourself, not to the point of being narcissistic, but to the point of being authentic. Be your authentic self. Connect your mind with your sacred heart. That's how you connect. That's how you keep the balance. Practice that. Be your own master. Self mastery is very important. All right. Self mastery. There is love is self mastery. Balance is self mastery. Be your authentic self is also self mastery. All right. Love yourself so much. Love humanity so much. Always thinking of all of you, keeping the balance for humanity, that when the transition for the timeline split happens, that all of us will move according to our highest soul purpose. All right, highest soul purpose. We all come here for a reason. We all come here for our own mission with your higher self, with your oversoul. Our spiritual guides and angels and our creator is always guiding us. All right, don't let your ego overtake the advices that our creator has been giving us. It is not the big voice, boom voice, lightning voice. No, it's a very soft voice. Okay, all the guidance and tips are very soft voice. The loud ones are not. But the soft voice that is nudging you, coaxing you, asking you nicely, listen to that. The softer it is, the more you have to listen. All right? Take care of yourself. You have a good morning, good day, good night, good sleep. Take care.